Call the meeting to order.
Sean Lucas,
Here.
Justin Orff,
Here.
Jared Giddens, Aaron Peterson,
Here.
Darlene Graham,
Here.
Amy Hookstrap.
Here.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
This is fantastic.
All right, we'll move on to the proclamation section. My laptop isn't working, and I forgot my glasses. That's all right. We'll figure it out. Whereas each year, an estimated 6.8 million people in the U.S. donate blood, and every 2 seconds, someone in the U.S. needs blood or platelets. And whereas the City of Nixa is committed to ensuring the health, safety, and security of all of those living in and visiting our community, and whereas a sufficient blood supply is integral to these public health and safety efforts, and our hospitals and medical centers need a readily available blood supply for those residents and visitors, and whereas World Blood Donor Day was established to increase the awareness and benefits and need for blood donations, whereas in the 2022 World Blood Donor Day slogan is "Donating blood is an act of solidarity, join the effort and save lives." The hope is to draw attention to the roles that voluntary blood donations play in saving lives and enhancing solidarity within the community, and whereas the City of Nixa urges all citizens to donate blood if they are eligible and to support local blood drives. Now therefore, I, Brian Steele, Mayor for the City of Nixa, do hereby proclaim June 14th, 2022 as World Blood Donor Day. All right, we have someone from the Community Blood Foundation. I didn't get that right. To accept the proclamation.
I'm Michelle Teeter. I'm with the Community Blood Center of the Ozarks, and on behalf of them, I want to say thank you for recognizing World Blood Donor Day and the importance of blood donation in saving lives. One donation can save multiple lives, so it's one of the biggest gifts you can give to your community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we'll move on to the visitor section. Becca.
Logan Lewis,
Oh, do I start and then the timer starts?
I think you start talking and then he'll start.
Okay.
He'll start the ticker.
My name is Logan Lewis. I'm a resident in the city of Nixa. Seeing as this is Pride Month, I thought it would be a good time to talk about the opposite of that, which is embarrassment, and I'm feeling quite a bit of that right now. So I'm going to read a little quote here. If you are choosing to aim your rage at mayoral Pride Month proclamations, or at kids having access to, quote, inappropriate library books, or at any of your other make-believe problems, rather than at this country's sick, deadly obsession with guns, there is a special seat reserved for you in your hell. I said what I said. If you don't like it, some serious introspection is in order. For anybody unaware, that's a direct quote from one of our elected officials, Councilwoman Amy. So I'd like to take a look and examine that statement a little bit. If you're choosing to aim your rage at mayoral Pride Month proclamations or kids having access to, in quotation marks, inappropriate library books. Well, that's the first thing that bothers me quite a bit, because putting the word inappropriate in quotes implies that you don't think sexually explicit material being made available to children in public schools is inappropriate. If that is truly how you feel, then I think some serious introspection is in order. You then refer to that as a make-believe problem. Well, we found the sexually explicit material. Some of it's been removed. It was very sexually explicit. It doesn't matter if it's same-sex relations being portrayed or if it's heterosexual relationships being portrayed. It doesn't belong in public schools. If you think that's a make-believe problem, then I think some serious introspection is in order. To say that the very people that voted for you, that elected you to office, that you claim to represent, have earned their seat in hell. Imagine if we were to say that about members of the LGBTQ community because we disagreed with them, that they had earned their seat in hell. I would never say that to anybody, and it embarrasses me greatly that an official elected by my city would be so brazen and blatant as to claim that many of its constituents have earned a seat in their hell. My hell is a world where elected officials that have such disdain for the very people that elected them, that they claim to serve and represent, harbor such hatred for them. It's embarrassing. And I think the only one that has some serious introspection that they need to undergo is somebody who would so quickly condemn their fellow man to hell based off of their views. That's all I need to say.
Thank you, Logan.
Melissa, and the last name starts with a B, but B. Clark.
Hi, my name's Melissa Belle-Isle. I'm a resident of Nixa, Missouri. Good evening to all of you. I'm here tonight not because I want to be, but because God gave me a voice and He wants me to use it to be the voice for those who can't speak, and that's the children, and that is the hill that I've decided to die on. I implore all of you sitting on city council who say you're Christians to repent and ask God for forgiveness for going along with this agenda, or someday you will face His judgment. If you study His word, then you know I'm speaking His truth, unlike the lies the left are pushing. We are destroying our country, and nothing terrifies me more than the wrath of God, and His wrath is coming, and no one will escape it. The phrase, God is not mocked, is found in Galatians 6:7. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that he will also reap. Mocking God means disrespecting, dishonoring, denying, or ignoring His existence. It's a serious offense committed by those who David describes as wicked because there's no fear of God before their eyes. But God is not mocked for long, and eventually there will be consequences for such behavior. In the Bible, mockery is a behavior and attitude shown by fools and the wicked, the enemy, the hater of knowledge, the proud, and the unteachable. The mocker's heart is cold, and in his foolishness and wickedness, he makes a conscious decision to turn his back on God and pursue evil. Mockers lack humility, wisdom, and goodness in spiritual matters. Mockers don't limit their disdain to God alone, but extend it to God's people as well. I'm sure, if not all in this room will mock me. I'm not offended because you're not mocking me. You're mocking my Creator, God. Those of you who think that indoctrinating children is fine, it's okay, live and let live, right? No, it's not right, it's wrong, and wrong in so many ways. You say, why is it bothering you? We aren't pushing it on you. Again, I say, yes, you are. You're pushing it on my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids. Our children are being lied to. You want these children to believe the lie, there's more than one gender? What happened to follow the science? You know, when COVID was trendy, we're no longer following the science. What happened? Oh, it doesn't fit the narrative any longer. Here's a science lesson for you, in case you weren't taught this in school. Biological male individuals have one X and one Y chromosome, XY, while those who are biologically female have two X chromosomes. No scientific proof of any other gender has been proven. The reason we have so many killings in our schools and suicide in today's society is basically two reasons. One, we've taken God out of our schools and our country. Then when horrible things happen, everybody wants to know, where was God? I'll tell you where he was. He's a gentleman. He's staying out of it. You kicked him out. Number two is because our children are being lied to. They have no idea what truth and what a lie is any longer, which I say to adults and or parents. Oh, wait, they're calling them birthing people now. Ick. Whoever pushes this agenda, you will pay dearly for this someday. And lastly, to piggyback off what the last gentleman said, I wasn't going to mention your name, but on your quote, and I'll repeat it. If you are choosing to aim your rage at the mayor's Pride Month proclamation, or kids having success to inappropriate library books, or at any of your other make-believe problems rather than at this country's sick, deadly obsession with guns, there's a special seat reserved for you in your hell, you said. Yeah, I said it, you say. And if you don't like it, some serious introspection is in order. I'd like to address this. First, to the mayor, congrats on coming out. Make-believe problems, really? I think you are the one who plays make-believe. FYI, a male can't have a baby. And if he does, I'd like to see that. About the quote, your hell? No, your hell, it's everybody's hell, especially just like Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding cities, which likewise indulge in sexual immorality and pursued unnatural desires, serve as an example by undergoing a punishment of eternal fire. Eternal fire is hell. Anyway, on the introspection, you said that we need to do some introspection. I say you do some introspection on yourself because your mental and emotional state are quite disturbing to those of us who are of sound mind. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Melissa, before the end of the meeting, could I get the spelling of your name, please? Yep, you don't have to give it. You don't have to give it publicly. Just before the end of the meeting. Jennifer Rosebrook.
This down a little bit. So my name is Jennifer Rosebrock. I'm a Nixa resident. I stand here this evening with heavy concerns on my heart, feeling like God has nudged me to speak tonight as a common citizen whose talent is stating the obvious. So here I go. Nixa has decided to jump on the bandwagon and celebrate LGBTQ Pride Month. Undoubtedly, there is big money pushing this agenda into every aspect of our culture. Our silence gives consent to this agenda. However, I'm not interested in talking about the L, G, or B at this moment. It's the transgenderism T that needs immediate consideration. More specifically, celebration of transgender kids, subjected to false promises of fulfillment, a lifetime of medical treatment, surgical genital disfigurement, and sterilization from a regimen of hormones and puberty blockers. It is the perfect storm of irreversible consequences. These kids and their parents stay in my prayers because they pay the price of a large-scale, politicized social medical experiment. The only certain beneficiaries in this are a booming field of transgender surgery and the pharmaceutical companies. How will a growing segment of this young generation respond to such conditions? Depression, anxiety, suicide, nobody knows right now, but it seems very bleak. After a previous social experiment with eugenics, as
a society, I thought we had agreed sterilization should only be performed on informed, consenting adults, regardless of whether a parent is complicit. Imagine if parents let their kids play on the shoulder of the interstate. Wouldn't people feel compelled to warn the parents and save the children? Cringing at the impending danger, would bystanders shrug and say, let's celebrate their choice, even encouraging other children to do the same? Would we also then excoriate the interstate drivers because they're traveling at high speeds, telling them they are the ones responsible for endangering children, and expect them to alter their routines to accommodate a child's choice? It would defy the limits of reason. The same could be said of the orchestrated promotion of transgenderism in the LGBT community. So why is this celebrated under their activist umbrella? When Mayor Steele proclaimed Pride Month for Nixa, where were such considerations? Isn't that part of being a leader? As a citizen, I denounce the mayor's proclamation because I oppose any institution that ignores the harm they are causing children, in this case, by their promotion of youth transgenderism. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff Belcher?
I'll wait till the end.
I have to go in
Gotta
the
go in
order
the
in
order
which
that
they're
they're-
given to me. So, I mean, I have to do Jeff.
Monica.
Justin Pippins?
Hey everybody, I'm Justin Pippins. I live in Springfield. Just here today to talk about LEAD for a second and just say thank you to everybody in Nixa who supported our LEAD events. I think we had 2 of them, 100 people at the first one and 60 people at the second one, and just wanted to be very appreciative today about the support that I've gotten from the community, whether they supported LEAD or not. Their interaction was great, so glad to be here with you guys today. And just secondly, it is Juneteenth month, which marks the end of slavery, and so I just wanted to bring some awareness today to Juneteenth. So glad to be here with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pippins.
Jeff?
Jeff Belcher, I live in Nixa, Missouri. First off, Mayor, congratulations. You have officially lit this entire town on fire. I don't know how Drew does it. He's got a lot of work to do on that Facebook page there. Amy, I got just one question. How many hells are there? Could you describe my hell versus your hell? Okay.
Please speak to the mayor. You understand the rules, Jeff.
The mayor?
Yes, that says right there on the little listy.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, I thought everybody else was addressing Amy as well.
They weren't asking questions. They
Well,
were
I'll just
moving
take
forward.
it. Well, I did ask a question.
Go ahead, Jeff.
How many hells? Do you know that when you made this proclamation, you were basically, I guess, showing support, showing love, equality for someone that's promoting the sale of unicorn piss? Whoa, that's an eye-opener, isn't it? Yes. Her Glow Center that she's employed by is advertising unicorn piss. It's like marijuana, get you high, 82% THC. Sounds like some good stuff. I don't know. Is this the same lady we're allowing into our school district?
I have no control over the school district at all, Mr. Belcher. I think you know that.
Would you condone such behavior?
I don't believe unicorns are real, so I'm not going to worry too much about where their urine is being sold, Mr. Belcher.
Well, okay. Turn a blind eye. Kind of like when you light the town on fire. Second of all, would you advocate anybody just being a blatant two-faced liar sitting on this council? Would that be acceptable to you? Would you consider that a good team player and a good coworker? Someone you could trust, someone you could get behind and back? It's a yes or no question. You asked me to direct my questions to you. I would like an answer, please.
I'm not required to respond to your questions.
You're not
though.
required. Wow. The stoops we level to. I guess maybe that's why you
I'm not
finally
gonna- I'm not
realized.
gonna walk
I guess
into
that's
some
finally, this is
loaded
my
question
time,
that you're
sir.
putting out.
I guess that's finally part of the reason why you realized you suck so bad you had to drop out of the 139th district. But you did us all a favor. Thank you. I will thank you for that. Back to the lion situation. It appears that on October 11th, this last October, Amy's on her little Facebook page talking about what a great display the Nixa Pumpkin House is. Fantastic. Liking it, thumbs up in it, the whole bit. She even, I don't know what, do it up on Twitter, I believe is what the little hashtag thing is. That very same night, she's posting in another private group, of course. I have a question for the black people in this group. It's kind of a wild opening statement. I drove over to the Pumpkin House today at the corner of Main and South, and as I looked around looking at their display, I noticed that they have some skeletons hanging from trees on nooses. This made me feel kind of icky. I know they don't mean anything by it, but watch me stir the pot here. As a black person, how do you feel about this? Does it bother you or not? Is it worth it to ask them to take these skeletons down? I would really like to know your opinion on this. Thank you. Minutes later, after we just liked it and gushed all over it, what a great display it was. And then here comes the third one regarding the same display. Guys, this situation with the Pumpkin House has gone sideways, and I'm pretty upset about it. I had a long messenger exchange with Eric Delzel, the owner of the display, during which he proved himself to be a very good, thoughtful man. He is definitely on our side. In the meantime, he has apparently been receiving personal attacks in the form of comments elsewhere on Facebook and nasty messages. This private group is the only place I posted about this display. So if any members have screenshotted that and shared it elsewhere or attacked him yourselves, that is not okay. That is not the way to handle things. He's feeling quite beaten down and upset at this point, and I feel absolutely terrible that I am indirectly responsible for this. Indirectly? You're the one that posted the guy's name and address. Are you confused with your verbs? Your English language skills? Indirectly? You are the one that put it out there, his name and his address. How irresponsible are you? But I guess if we're pushing unicorn piss to kids, hey, how much further can we get low, you know? You're not doing a very good representation for what you're trying to accomplish here. You're a two-faced liar. You say one thing here, and then you'll say one thing over here. That's called lying. That's called a sin as well. And yes, there is a special place reserved in hell for people that sin. The one hell. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, we will open up the visitors.
You gonna respond after I was done?
When the visitor section's done, yeah. Like at this point, I always say, if anyone else would like to speak, now is the time to do so.
Let me open by saying thank you for everybody that donates blood. It's very important to my life because I'm a recipient of donations, but not just donations, paid donations. There are two different types. You can give blood here at the Blood Donation Center, or you can go to one of the places that pay you for the blood. There are life-saving products that come from both places. And the other place where you get paid to do it doesn't get very much attention. And hopefully I'll bring a little bit of attention to that, and maybe people will start giving blood there too, so that medicines can be made from it and stuff. Came up here to talk about freedom of association. Freedom of association is a part of life. It's an inherent freedom that we have that's not very spoken very often. It's not codified by word in any documents, even though it is implied. But freedom of association is a fundamental freedom that we have. And when government starts interfering in that freedom of association, then people start to have a problem. Now, some of the different ways that you can interfere with people's freedom of association is through bullying and through vitriol and through strong-arm tactics, like calling people names, labeling people for not doing this or not supporting that. And I have a serious problem with that, because we shouldn't be made to feel guilty because we have the freedom of association to be free from you and your ideas and you and your narratives. And we have the freedom to go about our lives and believe what we feel that we want to believe. And the proclamation that was made recently trampled on that freedom of association and gave a lot of power to organizations to start trampling on that freedom of association as well. There's a statement. It's called "Silence is Violence." And if you don't support this particular idea, if you're silent on the idea, then you're committing violence against a group of people. That's a form of bullying. That's a form of strong-arm tactics to get you to capitulate and accept something. Now, I just said the word accept, and there's a big difference between tolerance and acceptance. Accepting something means that you are accepting the belief. Tolerance means that we have the freedom of association to be free from you and your ideas, and we have the freedom to choose our own ideas. That's what's ripped this community apart with that proclamation, sir, is that you gave people license to vilify other people based on their beliefs, based on their freedom of association, to go after them because they're not allies. That's another word that's used quite a bit. If you're not an ally to certain people, then you are an enemy. And that is set up in the word ally. When you start talking about, I am an ally of somebody, that means that there's an enemy of that person out there somewhere. And to split a community by labeling people as allies and letting it be laid that there are enemies, then that's a real issue. We have the freedom of association to go about our lives free from your ideas and free from your ideals, just like you are free to go about your business and believe what you want as well. And that's what makes a civil society civil. Now, where do guns come in? I'm going to interject that real quick right here at the end. Everybody has a right to self-protection. Not everybody is as big as I am. Not everybody is experienced as this policeman right here. Not everybody has the ability to protect themselves with their hands. But one thing that equalizes everything is a firearm. And everybody has a right to self-protection from everybody else. And that's one of the things that ensures freedom of association, both with people and from people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Anyone else?
When you're done speaking, I need a speakerphone.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. Completely forgot.
No problem.
Rich Lewis, Nixa, Missouri, and just to have fun with it, future seat in hell. So, I actually did what Amy's post said to do. Introspection. So I started thinking about it. And with thought came research. So I started listening back to prior city council meetings. And I've noticed that both on the city council and on the public side, there has been a huge degradation of professionalism, of decorum, of ethics, shown on both sides. In 60 days, give or take a couple of days, please don't quote me on that, we've had people up here cussing, yelling. We've had council members posting addresses, telling their constituents that there's a special place in hell for them. None of which on either side should be happening. I'd really like to see a return to where Nixa dealt with Nixa business and treated its citizens right. I don't have a problem with the proclamation. I don't understand proclamations. I don't get it. To me, it makes no sense, but it doesn't matter to me. If it makes a group that has been bullied and picked on historically feel better about themselves, then so be it. The problem is that people are in fact made to feel like crap for just simply not understanding it. I have a homosexual family. A lot of friends growing up were gay, lesbian. Some of the other letters that I don't remember what they all mean at this point. They were just friends, though. They were just people that I went to school with, that I knew growing up. Never hated one of them. But to be told I have a special place in hell because I don't agree with the proclamation, I don't know about that. I don't appreciate that. To be told that obsession with guns, here's my cell phone. Without somebody calling me, or without me using it, it doesn't go off, does it? Same thing with guns. It's great to blame guns for everything, but fact of the matter is, it's the people. Subsequently, it's the people that spit on their constituents and the constituents that spit on their elected officials. It's not okay. If we're going to have outrage, let's have actual outrage. For your post, here's what some reflection did. There were 20,726 gun deaths in the United States. That is an awful lot. If we are going to ban guns, let's also ban alcohol, because alcohol contributed to 52,000 people plus. I don't see any equal outrage for double the amount. If we're going to start talking about how we're fixated, what about the 42,915 people that died from vehicle accidents? Let's get rid of Chevys right now. Ford gone. Everybody who drives a vehicle, special seat in hell right next to mine. Address is city record now. Of those, 37,000 at fault. The majority of this right here. It's not the cell phone's fault, is it? It's not the car's fault. It's our fault. Just like it's our fault that we treat our constituents like crap, and just like it's our fault that the constituents treat the elected officials like crap. So, with respect, how about we all remove our heads from and start getting back to being normal, decent people? And by the way, I didn't say the word because that word is also found in the books in the library, which subsequently, according to YouTube, is not allowed to be said on YouTube without monitoring. It's kind of weird that I can't say that on YouTube or any of the other sexually explicit material that would show up on Twitch and then get me banned for being a Twitch streamer. So isn't it weird that we want stuff in high schools that the internet of all places won't allow? Just some food for thought. I'll go back to hell now.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Anybody else? And we'll close the visitor section. Oh, sorry. I looked away too quick.
Can I get you to spell out a speaker card when you're done?
Say that again, please.
I need you to fill out a
see
speaker
you fill
card
out
when
card.
you're done.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he had asked a minute ago if there was anybody else that hadn't been signed up on the agenda.
Just when you're done speaking, I'll need a speaker
Oh,
card.
thank you. Okay. So forgive me, my name is Danny Kazera. I am a Nixa resident. I'll fill out the speaker card that'll give you the spelling. I was just a little bit reluctant to speak because I didn't come prepared to, and this is a topic of significant weight and a lot of strong emotions on it. I think it was the last speaker that kind of moved me to stand and just say a few remarks here, because I think his call for civil discourse, for civil tone to our discourse, is so appropriate. I really bristle at the suggestion that nobody can have any grounds for opposing certain topics other than hatred, and that if we oppose the issue, it must be motivated by hatred. I think that is false. I think that is unfair. I think it's a great disservice to the strength of people's beliefs, their attitudes, and their reasons for holding certain beliefs. So I'm not going to speak further about what my beliefs are or what stance I think we should take. I'm just going to reiterate that call for some civil discourse, for a little bit of respect for people that oppose us on issues. I'm not sure where the Second Amendment issue, how that kind of creeped in tonight, but it does strike me that that's another issue on which our discourse is extremely dishonest, and maybe that's the only unifying issue of those two. So I would just request that the members of the City Council, as we're considering issues affecting the city, that we treat our opposition as being honest people whose reasons we might have something to learn from. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for letting me speak. My name is Denise Chambers, and I am a member of the Nixa community. I don't really want to go into too much depth about the proclamation. I do thank you for it, not because I think I need to be celebrated. Pride is things for me. I don't need a parade. I have never attended one, and I may never will. I represent no organization. I represent myself alone. I am merely just one single transgender member of the Nixa community. I don't ask for acceptance. I know that my very existence is anathema to several religious beliefs, and I'm okay with that. I can't change that. I have no requirement to. Nobody has any requirement to respect my pronouns. Just as said, I have no requirement to respect theirs. I have my name, and that's it, and we move forward. All I ask is the same deference that I give every other member of this beautiful community. I let them go about their business and do what they think is right, so long as they let me do the same, and that's all I ever ask. For that, I thank you for my time.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers.
I wanted to wait because out of respect for all the conversations tonight, I'm going to change the subject just a little bit because I couldn't be here at the last meeting because I was physically and emotionally exhausted after spending about a week working nonstop for Nixa for Sucker Days. And I just wanted to make sure that I had a tremendous amount of gratitude to many of you that are here tonight that helped out with Sucker Day. Got a great picture of a lot of you volunteering. Darlene was unbelievable. Sean Lucas, all you guys, right? I don't want to try to go through. But in addition to that, the resources that the community that gave, the volunteers, and we're going to share some things tomorrow at the Chamber Luncheon that just kind of reflects on how many people engaged in that event. Just for an example, we had over 19,000 unique visitors to our website alone. As I was looking at those stats and just thinking about the impact that the Sucker Day Music Arts and Crafts Festival has had on our community is just so powerful. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate our Nixa Police Department, our Nixa Fire Protection District, the Christian County Ambulance District, the streets guys out there at daylight in the morning helping us get things shut down and coming back at night to make sure that everything's safe. And then, of course, coming in on Sunday night to do a street sweep so that we have a nice, clean city street for our residents on Monday morning. The resources were just unbelievable, and I think it was a huge success. Yes, it rained a little bit on Saturday afternoon, I get it, but it gave a few of us a chance to go in and watch some Sucker Mania wrestling, so that was kind of fun. We did enjoy that. We had a very, very safe event. I believe we had maybe one minor incident Saturday night, I think, but Nixa PD was on hand, took care of the situation very, very quickly, and ended up resolving into a very easy night. So we had a lot of fun. I want to address your attention. That's one part of downtown Nixa. So that was a huge success. Very grateful for our community. The app was very well used this year. So really, truly, truly an economic impact on our community. There's another thing that's happening that's called economic development progress, and that is Main Street, Main and 14 right now. We know that has to be done. We know that we've got to make those improvements, and we're going to see those new light poles come in at some point. We're going to see that widen those streets and improve pedestrian traffic and improve, just not all overall traffic as a whole as we make that to a 4-lane road. We are seeing an impact on our downtown businesses. So I've been working with city, talked to Travis Cossey the other day about some studies, talked to Jeff Russo. I've talked to Scott the other day about how we can speed. Well, fast track maybe some events when the road is closed southbound. You may see us come back, or you may see that happen fairly quickly. I just want you to know that we're doing that kind of behind the scenes, getting ready for it, in case it's something that we feel that needs to be done to generate some additional pedestrian and shoppers in downtown. With the current rise in inflation and everything that's going on, our downtown businesses are feeling it even more. Even a slight drop in business can be really impactful right now. And so working with the Downtown Revitalization Group, we've kind of outlined these ideas. We're thinking about calling it Main Street Live Saturday something on Saturdays in downtown Nixa, possibly in July. And we're working with we're trying to find out when we think that they may actually move to the other side and close that southbound traffic, which would make it very easy to close Elm Street northbound, and then basically northbound traffic would come up, go to Elm Street, and then or cut it off at Elm, and then go to Water to exit. But doing something that really spurs some fun, whether it's additional food trucks, working with the 14 Mill Market, which is another investment in downtown, looking at maybe some live entertainment, some other fun things. I was just talking to the guys before the meeting, our water department, about could we open a hydrant for an hour or so if the water is not in shortage, and let the kids play in a fire hydrant for a little bit. Hopefully it's really hot in July, right? Which it should be because it's June and look at it. So just wanted you to know that we're working on some additional things that you may see happen in our community to try to celebrate and bring our town together even more. Again, we saw a great display at Sucker Day. It was just wonderful seeing so many different organizations benefit. I think they had several dogs that got rescued. The cornhole tournament was a success again. The live music was fun, both stages. And Sunday afternoon, after we let church get started, or church was over at noon, we opened Sucker Day back up and ran till 6. And man, what a great turnout that afternoon. Just a lot of fun. So just some things we're working on. I'm going to be coming back in a few minutes to talk about shooting fireworks. Thanks, guys. Unless you have any questions.
Any questions
Nope,
on
we're good.
Sucker Day? Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Russell.
thank you.
Anybody else? We will close the visitor section. Ms. Stratt, did you want to comment first, or?
I'll comment briefly. Considering that the vast majority of what has been spoken about over the past 40 minutes has absolutely nothing to do with the business of City Council, I don't want to take up too much more time. The post that various people referred to is a post that I made on my personal Facebook page, not my council page, and it was visible only to my Facebook friends. And it was a post that I made during a moment when I was experiencing a very visceral reaction as a mother to the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. There are a lot of other things I could say and a lot of other things that were said during the visitor section that I could respond to. But again, as none of it has anything to do with what we do here on City Council, none of it has anything to do with anything we're going to be voting on tonight or in the future, I'm not going to take up any more time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? I'll respond briefly, I guess. Kind of as Mr. Lewis was saying, I have some level of confusion. I don't really understand what the kind of visceral anger was about it, if it had to do with Sue Stratt's post or anything else. If you look at the proclamation itself, it says Our nation was founded on the principle of equal rights for all people, but fulfillment of that promise has been long in coming for many Americans. And I think any one of us or all of us could agree with that that is a true statement, in fact. And I posted, nobody came up with my Facebook post. I didn't respond to any of the stuff on the city page, of course, but to a friend of mine, I said, Black History Month, Child Abuse Month, Women's History Month, Juneteenth, Down Syndrome Awareness Day, Autism Awareness Day, or Pride Month, or International Blood Day. None of these things are going to change anyone's heart. They're not going to change your beliefs. They're not going to change the actions of the city or anything else. But what they are going to do is tell those who have suffered, who have been discriminated against, that as a community that we do believe in two things: that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, among those life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And another one, that for God so loved the earth, or so loved the world, that he gave his only Son, that whomever believes in him should not perish and shall have eternal life. And so that's where I came from in this proclamation. It was made, we decided to make this proclamation months before the school board questions about the books there. All of these are valid questions. The transgender issues that were in the state legislature this year, those are all valid issues as well. Those are all things that we can discuss, and that's all that this proclamation did, was say, these people have been discriminated against. And if you believe that is right, then that is a decision you had to make, and that is something that you will have to live with. But in my mind, and in the strategic plan for the city of Nixa, we say that diversity and inclusion are important to us as a community, and that we are going to do what we can. And Mr. Pippins was here, and he's helped us a lot with our LEAD event, that we're going to do whatever we can to try to show that we are not that community, that we're not going to be bigoted in any way, and that we are going to help all of those people who decide to be residents in the city of Nixa. And that is why we did this proclamation. That's why we've done many of the other proclamations. And I'm sorry to those who don't like that, but as far as what that proclamation means, it is about equality and inclusion, and not about forcing anything on anyone. And it is about making sure that residents in our community feel that they can live here in safety and enjoy all the things that we do as residents of the city of Nixa. All right, we will move on to the actual business of the city.
Can I hold up a second?
No, you cannot, Mr. Belcher.
I'd like to shake this person's hand and tell them thank you.
Well, you are more than welcome to do that, Mr. Belcher. Don't have to make a big announcement about it.
Okay, no, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. There's no problems here. I appreciate what you've done. That takes balls. I'm proud of it. And you know what? I'll have your back anywhere in this town. Anytime your problems, you got trouble, let me know. Because this is what it's about. We are all human beings here. We are all people. But we don't need it rammed down our damn throat. And I commend you for living your life the way you see fit. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's what it's about. It's not proclamations, it's living together. The more of an issue you make of this, you're drawing more attention to the problem than you're diverting. Just let people live. Thank you again.
All right, we will move on to the ordinance section. First readings, please.
First reading, Council Bill number 2022-061, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Nixa, amending several sections of Chapter 22 of the Nixa City Code to codify and update the city's water rates and to update provisions related to the city's utility billing procedures.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. If you'll recall, at the April 11th council meeting, we brought forth some proposed changes to our current utility billing policies and procedures. So when we took that back and started really working on it and assembling it and putting it all together, it became clear that it was a little bit more in-depth of a process than we first thought, because some of our utility billing procedures and policies were in the code, some were passed by resolution. So we just thought it would be more transparent, easier for citizens to find if it was all in one place. And we clarified and simplified a lot of the language so that hopefully it's very clear to everyone what our policies and procedures are as it relates to electric and water deposits, disconnection, reconnection policy, and then we also added the advent of a payment plan. And so that's why it's taken us so long, because we had several iterations. And then after Mr. Woodman reviewed it and put his legal eyes to it, we've come up with what we think is a very comprehensive and clear and succinct policy that I think will be good and will hold up for the long haul. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I did, but I can't see my notes now. I looked through this. Did this include the changes for the out-of-city water rates that we had
Yes.
discussed?
No.
Didn't
No.
discuss, didn't cover, okay.
Huh? Oh, we're still working on that.
Still
I'm
working.
sorry.
Okay.
Are you talking about for the RD Tuscany Hills?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
we're
no.
still working on that internally.
Okay. I didn't see it, so I wanted to make sure that wasn't in there.
It does have the per 1,000 gallon usage for out of sight of city limits, but not the RD.
But not the changes
Yeah.
for that we were talking about. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay.
And we'll open up the public hearing. If anyone would like to speak on this issue. And we will close the public hearing. Any further discussion? All right, move on to second readings, all right? Yep, second readings.
First reading, Council Bill number 2022-062, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Nixa accepting the dedication of certain right-of-ways of the minor subdivision generally located along the 700 block of East Crystal Avenue.
Mayor, Council, good evening. This one is slightly different because it is a minor subdivision. Usually those are reviewed and approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission, but those usually don't include the dedication of any type of public infrastructure or right-of-way, where this one does. For full disclosure, the applicant or co-applicant is a full-time city employee. He's employed as a city inspector in the Planning and Development Department. He recently purchased this property in Tiffany Highlands Second Edition at the southeast corner of Crystal Avenue and Tiffany Boulevard. The property is currently zoned R3, but that is the next agenda item to rezone it. The thing in question is the dedicated of this right-of-way of approximately 2,100 square feet. At the time the second edition of Tiffany Highlands was platted, which was in 1997, it had Crystal Avenue dead ending as a stub street for possible extension to the west into the Highway 14 Office Park development. In 2003, the Highway 14 Office Park submitted construction plans to make stormwater improvements in the area, which included the creation of this cul-de-sac. It also moved some of the stormwater inlets. It also included dedicating there's a big detention basin in the Highway 14 Office Park right next to this property, which eliminated the possibility of Crystal Avenue being extended. So with that, this was read and approved by our Planning and Zoning Commission at the June 2022 meeting. There's a public hearing. Nobody approached the commission, and the commission unanimously approved this minor subdivision. And staff is also recommending the dedication of this right-of-way as the cul-de-sac is present and has been for nearly 20 years. It would be great to be able to maintain that properly. If you have any questions, I'm available.
Any questions? Congratulations on your new baby, and we're glad to have you back.
Thank you, thank you.
No questions? Thank you very much. All right, we'll open up the public hearing. Close the public hearing. Any further discussion? I was confused on the order here, so we're still in the first reading section. So we're on the Bill 2022-063.
First reading, Council Bill number 2022-063, rezoning the real property generally located along the 700 block of East Crystal Avenue from the R3 multifamily residential district to the R1 single-family residential district.
Mayor, council, good evening. This is the rezone aspect of this minor subdivision. So they are going from the 3 lots that were previously or still currently zoned R3 multifamily, which only allows for 3 units or more combined. The only lot that met current city standards was the one that includes the dedication of the right-of-way. With the dedication of right-of-way, it no longer conforms to city standards. Again, applicant, full-time city employee. This is it's a vacant property. The surrounding zoning includes R4 multifamily zoning to the north and to the east, single-family R1 zoning to the south, and general commercial zoning to the west as part of the Highway 14 Office Park development. The proposed land use is consistent with the patterns of development in the vicinity. It has adequate access to Nixa utilities due to it being part of a platted subdivision. It is, the wastewater goes to the Timber Creek lift station, which has adequate capacity to handle an R1 development on these 2 lots. All utilities in this area are of sufficient capacity to handle an R1 development of just 2 developments. The stormwater, as previously mentioned, is handled through a regional detention basin, which is located directly to the west of this property. This rezone was also presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission at the regular meeting earlier this month, and again, the public hearing was held, and nobody approached the commission, and the Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously approved the rezone. Or recommended approval to the city council. Staff also recommends approval, and if there's any questions, I'm available.
What is it currently? Is it R3 or R1 currently?
There are 3 lots, well, there were 3 lots there were zoned R3 multifamily, which is the higher density multifamily.
Okay.
And there's no break between the R1 on the south side and those lots? There's
Correct.
no other street or anything in between there, correct?
Correct. So the lot directly to the south of this is R1 single family.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we will open up the public hearing on this.
Jeff Belcher, Nixa, Missouri. I think we seen a Facebook post today about we're going to be losing power if we don't all cut back. We need to ration our power. Don't run your air conditioners. Don't keep your house comfortable. I work out in the summer. It's hot. I like to come home to a cool house. I'd like to know what your plans are and what your concerns are as far as possible rolling brownouts, blackouts as projected. Do you have any plans or action in place to prevent that from happening? And how dire is that situation?
Doesn't go along with this particular item, but.
Well, it kind of does. He was talking about the new rezoning. There's plenty of room for the wastewater and all this and that. But again, it's more development, and we're already having problems keeping the people we've already developed.
Sure, yeah. Doug's not here to get into the in-depths of it, but the way we purchase our power, we won't run out of power. We have plenty of capacity. It's just that we pay for peak usage. So if we can keep the peak down, it keeps the price down for the entire year. So we pay a certain point for the highest peak we have in the year. So whatever day in June or July, it's 102 degrees, and we use the maximum power, that sets a peak, and then we pay on our contracts for power for that particular peak. So if we can keep that peak down, it saves all of us money over the long term.
Okay, so are we looking at, we have an unusually hot year. I know you said there's been no tax increases and increases. They've actually decreased the utility rates. How soon would that be gone?
We've set our utility rates for the next 4 years, I believe, right, Jennifer? So we have set utility rates for the next 4 years.
So no matter how bad it gets, we're insulated.
But there is a possible cost adjustment. So if we have a large spike and that increases this peak price that we're paying, then that would be passed on the next year as and attributed across the entire year.
So there is a potential for an increase in the next
possibly
this year, next year, the following year.
Definitely.
Depending on Mother Nature, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Again, we might want to look at pumping the brakes a little bit on development. I know a big thing has been with Mr. Russell, bringing businesses to town. If we keep packing this, every little square bit of land we have with homes, where are we going to put them businesses?
Well, this
What are we
particular,
gonna
this
tell them?
particular development has been around for 20 years. So
What
it
are we
was-
going to tell them businesses and restaurants that, hey, you're going to have to turn your heat up, your air conditioning up to 80? Probably not many people want to go in there and have dinner and drinks 80 degrees.
Probably not.
So is there any plans for future development? I mean, are we suffering from the current rates of development, or are we benefiting at this point?
I believe the property owners are benefiting, and that's always been our stance, is that the property owners have the rights to do whatever they want to with their own property.
By having to turn our electric air conditioners up? That's the situation that's just going to worsen the more we develop.
Well, I mean, that's a
There's a thing called
I
overdevelopment.
mean, that's a regional or national issue based on the weather. It's not it doesn't have to do with how many people live in Nixa.
Well, sure it does. You bring in the business, okay, it's operating one building. That same building could occupy potentially 5 or 6 home spots. Now you're looking at 5 or 6 times the demand. So I don't see how you can't see that they're not tied together.
Well,
Obviously,
each year we adjust the capacity, and we purchase higher capacity if we need it for the next year as growth continues. So this is just one super hot week, and we're asking people not to use as much electricity as they might normally, or do their dishwashing or their laundry at a later time at night to save us all money in the long run.
Interesting. So there's no plans to limit development?
No.
In your 10-year plan, 20-year plan, are we looking at potentially running out of room, running out of infrastructure?
Definitely not infrastructure. We might run out of available land for sale. That's definitely a problem we run into, but we have sewer capacity for twice the size we currently are. We have electric capacity for twice the size we currently are. We are well positioned for growth into the future.
But we're already being asked to reserve and cut back.
For 2 or 3 days in the hottest week of the year, yes.
Well, I think it's going to be more than 2 or 3 days. I mean, we ain't seen nothing yet.
We'll find out.
Anyways, thanks for the info.
I will leave the public hearing open. Close the public hearing. Any further discussion? All right. Move on to the next one.
First reading Council Bill number 2022-064, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Nixa, amending the 2022 annual budget to appropriate funds for the purchase of audiovisual equipment and video conferencing equipment.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, what you have before you is a request for a budget amendment for, in the amount of $35,500 to include monies for replacement microphones for the council chambers. Back in 2020, we had upgrades made to our AV equipment that did not include the microphones. The microphones are outdated and they are no longer charging. I believe we're down to 2 tonight. I went out for bid on these and for 12 wireless microphones, 4 omnidirectional microphones, chargers, replacement batteries for the purchase and installation. The bid came in at $21,419.20. Also included in this budget amendment request is for video conferencing equipment for our council conference room as well. The equipment in there was pieced together years ago, and it is also outdated and it's hard to hook on and it's hard to utilize. The bid for that came in at $13,815.27. That's for the purchase of the equipment and installation. It also includes taking the equipment that's in there now and moving into the small conference room as a backup, just in case. Have any questions on this?
Any questions? Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
And we'll open up the public hearing. Close the public hearing. Any further discussion? All right, move on to, now we're ready for second reading.
Second reading Council Bill number 2022-058, An ordinance of the Council of the City of Nixa authorizing the mayor to execute a mutual aid agreement to continue the city's participation in the combined Ozarks Multi-Jurisdictional Enforcement Team Task Force.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Again, the second reading to continue our intergovernmental agreement, or I'm sorry, mutual aid agreement with Comet. As Chief had noted, a review of this agreement revealed no substantial changes other than the participants. But I'm here this evening in case anyone has any questions.
Any questions? Can you, if I ask you to give me a brief synopsis of what Comet does, can you?
Comet is here. They primarily assist us in drug investigations, but if we were to come across any labs or dangerous chemicals, they are the primary agency that we contact to help us store those and prepare those for court.
Thank you very much. Any questions? No. Open up public hearing if you'd like to speak to this item. Close the public hearing. Any further discussion? No. I'll take a motion to approve.
So made. Second.
Roll call, please.
Justin Orff?
Yes.
Aaron Peterson?
Yes.
Darlene Graham?
Yes.
Amy Hoekstra?
Yes.
Sean Lucas?
Yes.
Resolution number 2022-061, a resolution of the Council of the City of Nixa retiring the current city seal and adopting in lieu thereof a new city seal.
Good evening, City Council. As you know, we've been in the process of developing some updated brand guidelines for the city and some new look on logos and things like that. But before we adopt new logos, we want to make sure that the city seal would be selected by you and implemented by you first. Partially because we want to make sure that we've kind of agreed to colors and fonts and shapes that are going to be in that seal that then we're going to implement throughout the other branding. So it helps us to kind of make sure that that official symbol, which is adopted by council as it represents council, is kind of in place first, and that kind of unlocks that ability for us to go out and start to implement the other aspects of the branding. After our last council discussion on this topic, you guys had given me instruction to bring you a resolution to adopt a single seal design, and so we've brought that to you. It's at the bottom here. Mason, you can pull that up. That's the seal design that we're discussing adopting. And we recommend that you guys vote to adopt this as the new city seal.
Any questions? Thank you, Doug. Or Drew, sorry. Off a little. We'll open up public hearing. If anyone would like to speak to this item.
My name's Mr. Sanders. I live at 976 Glen Oaks Drive here in Nixa. And I've been watching this rebranding thing for a little while, and the first question that pops into my mind is, why do we have to change everything? Why do we need a rebranding? I've listened to all of the presentations and everything, but that question still hasn't been completely answered. Now, this isn't completely offensive or anything like that. I kind of like the other one, and I think that if people actually were paying attention, they'd probably look at this and look at the old one and be like, okay, no big deal. Why are we changing history? Why are we, rebranding everything? But I would just like it to say to everybody out there and everybody who's going to end up watching this on repeat and stuff like that, pay attention to the rebranding, because although this isn't all that offensive, there's a lot of other things coming down the pike that I think a lot of people might question, might wonder, where the sanity went when we start looking at some of the other things, especially the police badge or the police seal. I know that there were some comments that I won't repeat up here about some of those pictures and everything. I would like to see a lot more publicity on the City of Nixa website and Facebook page about these changes so that people might know and people might show up a little bit more and take a look, because I know some of y'all just wanted to get it out of the way and be done with it because we need to rebrand something for some reason. But I think we're going a little bit overboard with some of the things that we came up with. Thank you.
You want to speak to the reasons for rebranding, Drew?
I'll just read a little bit from the top of the memo, if you don't mind. So city staff identified an opportunity to update the city's branding to create a more consistent look and feel across our departments and visual design elements. As I showed you guys at the last meeting when we were discussing this, I showed you a slide of our current branding across departments. So we've got 3 different types of X's that we're using. We've got 3 different fonts that we're using that say Nixa, and we've got different colors of red and different colors of, the colors are very kind of inconsistent across departments, fonts were inconsistent, and there was an opportunity for us to kind of create a more cohesive look across all of our branding. Brand enhancement was identified as a top priority for the 5-year strategic plan. In that process, branding and communication strategy is really touched upon in quite a few of our action plans that were voted on by the members of that strategic planning committee. Improving our brand strategy will help us accomplish high-performance government action plans 1, 6, 9, 10, and 11, as well as the Sustainable Economy Action Plan number 3 and Hometown Spirit Action Plans 1, 7, and 8. The strategic plan is on our website. You can look at those up and see what those are. Basically, they all have to do with communication strategy and branding, how we present ourselves to folks who maybe have never heard of Nixa at all. Here in Southwest Missouri, we have a pretty good reputation, right? But folks outside of Southwest Missouri, folks around the country who are looking for a place to relocate, maybe to buy a home or to bring a business or to make a business investment, they've got a lot of other cities that they can be investing in. They want to look at a city that looks like it's professional, has its act together, knows what they're doing, and is going to be competent in dealing with their, whether they're going to be a resident here or whether they want to make an investment here. They want to feel like this community is got their act together, right? And so one way that you can kind of send that message is just through having cohesive and coherent branding. It really has kind of an economic development benefit. The proposed update to visual brand identity is supplemented by and integrates with a comprehensive brand strategy update, which addresses all of these action plans regarding marketing and communication strategies. The primary motivation for this brand update is to help the city, as I was saying, to help our city communicate its brand identity more effectively to those external audiences. And a secondary motivation for the brand update is to help enhance our community identity among our citizens and to more clearly communicate the fact that all of our city departments are part of the same organization. Right now, if you looked at our logos, you might think that we were maybe even competing organizations. We're not really kind of on the same page. So we're trying to kind of create a little bit more cohesion, a little bit more of a visual tie to show that, for example, Nixa Utilities is operated by the city and things like that. The communications department has been working with a graphic design and branding consultant who has experience with 3 Fortune 500 companies doing this kind of work to work on possible logo, seal, flag, police patch, and department sub-brand designs, which would feel together more like a cohesive family of brands. We're thinking kind of more, we want our branding to look more like Coke and Diet Coke across departments as opposed to Chevy, GMC, and Buick, right? Where that you visually you wouldn't know that they're, unless you just know that those are all brands that are under the GM umbrella, they don't really look alike, right? Staff has presented this to council multiple times, and we've kind of worked through and talked through the benefits of this and the reasons why we think that this branding is going to kind of help just clean up and modernize our look. And if you'll go to the second page there, Macy. We want to adopt this stuff, but again, we want you guys to approve the seal first because we don't want to put our cart before the horse. We want to make sure that what we're going to adopt across departments is something that can be adopted for the city seal. But the flag, we've held off on that since there was still kind of no consensus around a single flag design. We've held that off, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. in the agenda tonight on kind of flag discussion. We have a graphic design intern. I'll point her out. She's actually here tonight. Michaela.
Hey, Michaela.
She's a Nixa resident and a student at Drury University who's actually learning graphic design from our brand consultant, who's a professor there at Drury. And we've have her on an internship this summer. She's helping out as we try to implement our new branding and creating new publications and things like that. We'll just have a little slicker, nicer looking look to them, and we're going to print those things on nicer paper so that our brochures and the things that we hand out and put in people's hands to represent the city really feel professional and look professional. And so we're excited to have her here and excited for, if this is adopted tonight, then that literally gives her the work that she needs to be able to kind of go forth and get those products produced. So that's, have I addressed everything?
Thank you very much, Drew. One of the other drivers is we are launching a new website, which make it easier for people to access things, create a paperless system, those types of things, and the branding can be utilized, and color schemes and all of that can be utilized in that as well. So we'll leave the public hearing open if anyone else would like to speak.
Jeff Belcher, Nixa, Missouri. Seems to me, I don't know, maybe the accounting can refresh my memory. Didn't we just spend a bunch of money like a year and a half ago rebranding all the utility trucks with stickers so they'd be uniform?
I don't believe so. We still have trucks with the original logo from 15 years ago. So we just replaced the logos as new vehicles are purchased.
So there was no ordinance or budget request or anything like that for
Not rebranding, a purchase of new trucks, but not
for the
rebranding.
utility vehicles branding, I guess. I'll have to go
Believe
back and look that up.
so.
And then second of all, on that note, I don't know what kind of idiot is going to look at moving to a new town and look at the stickers on the side of their trucks as far as whether that town is a decent town or not. That would be the last damn thing I think I would consider a qualifying measure to whether I want to move there or not. I'm going to look at your taxes. I'm going to look at your government record. I'm going to look at your city websites. I'm going to look at your city council. I'm going to look at the government, how they work together, how they treat their constituents. And no offense, I don't know how long it's going to take to put out this damn dumpster fire we got going on here.
Language.
You go to just about any discussion, it's the big divide right down the middle of that town. Do you want to take your children to a town split right down the middle? East side, west side? Because that sticker's not going to make a cohesive unit. And you're BSing yourselves if you think that that's what it's going to take, is, oh, let's get new stickers. It's going to change the whole face of the town. Is there a price tag on this rebranding process?
I think
Have we looked that far into it?
there's no cost to it. The consultant was free to us. The intern, I'm not sure if she's paid or not, but she might be. She's helping us do things, so we're going to pay her if she.
Well, how many?
Okay.
How many vehicles does the city have on the road?
We don't replace the branding until the new vehicles are replaced.
So this would be a transitional thing.
Transitional thing, yes.
Okay, and then as
We
far
buy
as,
new pins. We need new pins. We buy new pins, and we have the new logo on the new pins.
okay, so
Made
as
new
far as
letterhead. We have new
letterheads,
logos on the new letterhead.
I guess, you know.
Websites, digital
we've all
things
got
like that
uniforms, we've
people from
got
outside
shirts,
the
we've
community
got
would
this,
see.
we've got,
I'll just keep talking too. It's just
We've got
easy,
signs
really.
coming in and out of town. Are those going to be replaced to match the new logo?
don't
I mean,
think
how
any-
rebranded are we going to go?
I don't think any of, Drew, go ahead, Drew. Okay, go ahead, Drew. You got something else you want to say, Jeff, or you want?
Well,
Or anybody?
I just answer the question. I can hear you.
Got the rules, Jeff.
So the rebranding process will take anywhere from 6 years and on up, because it's a lot of there's some costs that we've already kind of built into our budget every year for new uniforms for certain departments, or purchase of, swag and things that we hand out at things like Sucker Days or Nixpo. And so the thing that we're swapping out is just which logo do we put on those things. It gets changed. Every year we acquire new vehicles, and those are going to get branding stuck on them one way or the other. The cost is already kind of built into the budget. The question here is, what are we going to pay to stick on there? Is it the old branding or is it the new branding? And so a lot of it's just kind of a swap out and a kind of will go as things age out. And a good example is the water towers. So we're not going to go out this year and paint all 8 water towers with the new branding. We're still going to follow the existing plan for painting water towers because they have to be repainted every so often anyway. It's just a matter of when it comes a water tower's turn to be painted, what do we paint on it? Do we paint the thing that's already on it, or when it's its turn, do we paint the new thing? So it's a lot,
let's
of
use
kind
this
of
backdrop
replacing.
as an example. What'd that cost us, and how often does that need to be replaced? Does that need to be rebranded because we've got a new brand? Or are we gonna let it get tattered and torn before we decide to replace it?
So a lot of so some of the things that I've already budgeted for this year, they're already in my budget for this year for things that are communications assets like this. We've already budgeted for a rebranding, so that if we.
So
if
how
this-
much is that
if the rebranding is-
rebranding budget? That's my question.
Oh, in total, between the print products that we want to print and some of the swag items and some of the things that we take around to events and things like that, we have probably about 7,000 budgeted, I think, I'm not going to remember these numbers correctly out right off the top of my head, but I think it's about 7,000 for printing costs and another few $1,000s for items that we'll purchase this year, and we'll budget kind of another chunk of money next year, and another chunk the next year, and so on and so forth. Kind of eat the elephant one bite at a time.
All right, and then, like I said, as the IT guy for the city.
I'm not the IT guy.
Not the IT guy, the communications director. Do you think it's kind of ridiculous to think that a new sticker is going to draw people into town versus the actual research people would want to take the time to investigate?
I believe council's rules are that if you have questions for staff, you can address those to me. You can schedule a meeting with me during normal
Divert and
business
deflect.
hours, and I'll meet with you
Divert and
then
deflect.
and
Okay.
answer
Well,
your
I asked
questions.
him, he
But
didn't know the numbers.
Questions
so.
are supposed to be directed to council.
I just think rebranding is, I don't know, we just pull that out of our wazoo.
As
Again,
you said, it came from the strategic plan.
A different sticker is not going to reflect differently on this community. What reflects differently on this community is how well you all work together and how well you work with your constituents. A sticker ain't going to have a damn thing to do with it.
Language.
What?
Language.
Language.
Yeah.
What'd I say?
Not going to repeat it.
Really? Language?
We just had a conversation about trying to be more civil. Let's.
Okay,
just
well,
keep
when, I
at
guess,
where-
you know, when the leaders start to lead, maybe the minions will follow. But I'm not seeing much leadership up there still. So I guess time will tell. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Belcher. We'll leave open the public hearing.
Thomas Taylor, Nixa, Missouri. What if we like the old logo better? That's one question I have. And it's been my understanding that when corporations change logos, it costs millions and millions of dollars.
True.
But what do I know? So the gentleman before me said a sticker doesn't mean anything. Well, actually it does, because if you look at that sticker, you need to know the meaning behind it. Is that a recumbent cross? Is that going to upset a whole bunch of people because that looks like a recumbent cross rather than crossroads? What do those 3 little houses mean? There's a lot that goes into a logo, and it stands for something, and it permeates the psyche of the people that look at it. That's why in Roman times, when a new emperor took over, they went on all the monuments and erased the old guy's name and put in a new name and put in new statues. But how do we deal with a certain number of the population that might like the old logo better? After all, it does have an eagle flying overhead. That's kind of patriotic, just a little bit, kind of a hint. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. So I wish I could blow this up. This is for reference, you know, some people talk about, you know, we're getting rid of the history of this seal. This seal is less than 10 years old.
2017.
Yeah.
Around then.
Yeah, so we adopted this seal 5 years ago. This was the seal before then, which is yellow and blue with the state of Missouri, a bear, and I can't see what else is on there.
I think
it's so tiny, a suckerfish. There's a suckerfish in it.
There's also like a sunrise, I
and
think.
a sunrise, I believe. So there's all kinds of symbolism in there, of course. But those were also not the colors of the city. They were never blue. I think they were always black and white was before. But we created this branding, again, within the last 10 years, to make the city look more professional. And I think this branding, the original branding we have here and what we've done for the utility department and the parks department has made both of those departments look much more professional in their branding. And I think this branding effort will help push that along back to the city, because it's kind of a circle. That's the way branding works. Is you rebrand one thing, there was New Coke, and then there was Old Coke, and there's Classic Coke, and you brand things as times change, and you come up with new needs and efforts. And like I said, I don't think any of us 100% liked any of the things, but again, if you don't make everybody happy, I guess you're making the right decision, right? But we'll leave the public hearing open if anybody else would like to speak. And close the public hearing. Any further discussion? Okay. You want to say, Darlene?
Mr. Sanders, I'm on your side on this. I'm a total traditionalist. I like this seal, except the eagle is a little bit too big in comparison to everything else on it. We spent a lot of time talking about this, and he's right. None of us, we didn't come to a total consensus. We all said, this is wonderful. We like this. This particular seal is one we all went, we could live with this. I wish we could have a little bit more time to do some input on it, to make a better decision on it, maybe some more, this is my opinion, some more public input on it to see what they might have to say on it, because like it's only 5 years old. And I just like that seal for some reason. So that's, and Drew knows it, he knows my opinion, we've had discussions on it. But I just want to let you know, there's a number of people who probably feel the same way, so.
I'm in agreement with Darlene on that as well. There's been a lot of discussion about the seal and what we like and what we don't like. One of the things I think that we all kind of came together is that silhouette of the city. We all seem to kind of come together on that, and that's like the houses, the
City Hall.
Well, you have the houses in the front, you have the businesses behind them, and then you have City Hall supporting all of it. Is kind of what that symbolizes, if I understood that correctly. And I think that's about the one thing that we've all kind of came to a consensus on. The rest of it's been, do we like this X or that X? Do we not have an X? Do we have, which way do we go with that? And so, again, am I 100% sold on this one? No, but it's the closest thing we've come to, I think, out of all the things that we've looked at.
Well, I rarely agree with Mr. Sanders, but I also agree that this is not the best possible solution for anything. And I think I've said many times over the years, if you don't like the answer you've gotten, ask the question again and see if you get a better answer. So if you guys don't like this, you don't have to select it. Drew will be very upset, but it's okay. Drew can be upset sometimes. Maybe we can get his new intern. We'll come up with something much better for us.
I just think we could tweak this a little bit from what we have. I mean, put all the fonts the same, put the symbol in the middle the same. I just don't like that in-your-face X. My opinion again. I'm sorry.
As you are.
I mean, I think out of all of them, this one I think was my favorite. This is the one I was pretty much sold on. I think this will look great for our rebranding, like you said. I do like how you have the residents up front and the businesses and then City Hall. Being the person that brought this one up, I mean, the old one, the new one, or the current one, I guess, is, in my opinion, way better than the old one, which to me looks like clip art from Word.
Word didn't exist in 1985 when that was created, so I think it was cut out from pictures or magazines, most likely.
But, yeah, I mean, and that one, it was, I think, 2 high school students in the 80s got savings bonds to create it. But it just didn't reflect, I guess, what we were as a city. I think the new one is a good step in the right direction, or the current one was, and I think this helps us get full circle to where, I mean, I don't know, I like it, so. I've been, this one, whenever we originally brought it up, I mean, we did change the X slightly, but this is the one I did like.
I concur with Justin that this was the best of what we were presented with. And I do want to iterate as well that the picture is representative of our community, of what we want to have, that we do want to be behind our citizens and our businesses, and that the X does still somewhat represent the crossroads, even though we are not technically the crossroads of the Ozarks anymore.
Everybody else said something.
I basically agree with Aaron and Justin.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? What is this? Is this a resolution?
Yes, resolution.
Resolution. Take a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes.
Okay, that would be
Sean and me.
3-2.
Mayor, so the council has the option, if the voice vote is unclear, to call for a roll call vote.
I think it was fairly clear.
I think it was clear.
Okay, clear to me? Clear to Becky? The motion fails? It's 3-2? It's not?
Yeah.
3? Okay. 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 Take that. I thought it had to be 4. I thought it had to be a majority of the members.
4 and 2 also.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the chicken thing failed by doing that.
All right. We will move on to the next thing.
Resolution number 2022-062, a resolution of the Council of the City of Nixa amending the city's personnel handbook by modifying policies 7.1.3, 7.1.5, and 7.1.4 to alter the accrual and rollover provisions related to holiday hours.
Good evening. This sounds like a whole lot, but it should be the easiest one you have tonight, since you've already approved it. But we're back because it's for the police department, and it was for the police handbook, and so we're just approving it to put in the city's handbook. So that's all we're doing.
Any questions? Thank you, Amanda.
Awesome. Thank you.
We will open up the public hearing if you would like to speak to this item. And we will close the public hearing. Any further discussion?
No.
Motion to approve?
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution number 2022-063, a resolution of the Council of the City of Nixa granting a permit to the Nixa Area Chamber of Commerce to authorize the display of fireworks.
Mayor, Council, good evening. The Nixa Chamber of Commerce has applied for a special event known as their annual Sky High Fireworks Celebration that involves a public display of fireworks. The 2022, there it is, Sky High Fireworks Celebration is scheduled to take place on June 25th, 2022 at the Nixa High School Eagle Stadium. The Nixa Chamber of Commerce has hired Encore pyrotechnics to conduct the display, which I believe they've used in the past. Section 16-198 and 16-199 of the Nixa City Code provides for the following regulations in conducting a public fireworks display. A permit shall be granted for supervised public displays. They have submitted a special event permit to the Planning and Development Department. The display shall be handled by a competent operator approved by the City Council. Encore Pyrotechnics has performed this in the past, and Nixa Chamber of Commerce has cited that Encore Pyrotechnics has successfully and safely operated similar shows for Big Cedar Lodge, College of the Ozarks, and Missouri State University. This next one's going to be fun to read. The display shall be of a character and so located and conducted so as, in the opinion of the City Council, after proper investigation, not to be hazardous to property or endanger any person. Again, this was previously approved by City Council to conduct fireworks in this location, and they also were allowed to conduct fireworks during football games, I believe. So this has been previously approved by City Council. The Chamber has the proper insurance filed with Nixa Public Schools to operate this display on their property. The display is planned to commence at a time near 9:30 or when the sky becomes sufficiently dark, and the display will last for approximately 12 to 15 minutes. Staff recommends the approval of the Sky High fireworks celebration, and I'm available for questions.
Any questions? Thank you. And we'll open a public hearing. Mr. Russell.
I would never do such a thing. I resent that accusation. Jeff Belcher, Nixa, Missouri. Speaking of fireworks, I know we've had people in here before. There was a crazy lady last year came in with a Walmart bag full of detonated fireworks that she'd saved for literally a year, complaining about the mess left in her yard. It killed her tomatoes. Currently, I believe the statute, the ordinance reads, we're allowed to shoot fireworks this year, particularly Monday and Monday only. Is that
Correct.
the way
That
it
is,
stands
I
currently?
believe the way it would work.
I think that's probably going to leave a lot of debris in a lot of people's yards because they're going to blow everything up Monday night, and come Tuesday morning, they all got to go back to work.
True.
When you're liquored up, hungover, you don't want to go out and clean up fireworks out of your neighbor's yards. So you're going to say to hell with it. So I know that we did do an emergency order, other than just the mask mandate, to allow fireworks at the football games. Yeah, it was an emergency order. I was wondering if there wasn't any possible way we could, I don't know if we've got enough time to get one pushed through before the 4th this year to allow the citizens to have ample time to clean up and dispose of their messes properly while we celebrate our nation's founding. We're talking one day, not an entire month. I don't know what your guys' thoughts and feelings would be on that. I think Saturday, allowing Saturday, if the holiday falls Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, let's do it that Saturday before. If it falls on Thursday or Friday, let's do it the Saturday after for these next 5 years we're going to have coming up. It may avoid, you know, a lot of messes in a lot of people's yards, and it would kind of allow people the freedom to be able to have a celebration where you can invite family to come in from out of town, travel, stay for the weekend, and still be able to barbecue and have your celebration and, you know, allow the citizens to be free for a day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we have tried that a couple times in the past, and we just haven't ever figured out what the correct thing was. Yeah, I don't know. We'll look into it, see if we can do anything at the next meeting to
That's actually,
make that
I
happen.
kind of like that idea, because where I watch fireworks on the 4th, I
do too.
would enjoy that on a Saturday instead of on a Monday. So, okay, yeah, hey, we're gonna shoot some fireworks, guys, but it's not a lot more than the 13.5-minute show that they have programmed for us. We're actually going to be celebrating that evening. Starting at 6 o'clock is when the gates are going to open up. We do have a lot of things planned. I just got word today, though, because as we all know, contractors are contractors, and the Nixa Schools is going to be replacing their turf. And the only time that they can actually do it is going to be starting on June 20th. And guess what's not going to be done by June 25th? It's not going to affect our show or the live music. It just affects some of the activities and the games that we had planned. Got this really cool foam factory that we're bringing in, this knocker ball, I think is the name of it, where you put on an inflatable. We tried it at Sucker Day, had the rain, didn't quite work, so we're going to give it another shot. And then we have some other things that we're going to be doing, magicians walking around, face painting, live music, games. We have the Nixa Schools, the Nixa Crimson Corps will be taking a suggested $5 donation to park. But if you can't afford it and you don't have the money, or do like me half the time and don't show up with cash, am I the only one that does that anymore? Don't have cash? They are not going to not let you park there at the high school. And of course, the event is free to attend. Everything's pretty much free with the exception of a couple of the activities. as far as like the face painting and the balloon animals and the knocker ball. But the foam factory actually is going to be free because the promoter is trying to promote this as a new product or service for his business. So that should be kind of fun. The best I understand is a whole bunch of foam and kids get to run around in it and get covered up, and a good summertime activity. We will shut everything down sometime around 9 o'clock, and then, of course, at 9:30 p.m., it's usually dark enough on that day to go ahead and light the show on at 9:30, so that we should be done with all fireworks by no later than 9:45, and that's well within the ordinance or the city noise ordinance. Now, the other thing is that we are putting information out there on social media. I know Drew Douglas has been sharing some information with the city of Nixa to let people know the fireworks will be shot that night, and then, of course, we'll be using the Experience Nixa app and try to get as many people who maybe have some sort of reservations about fireworks being shut off, especially that level, because this is a professional show. And of course, I did talk to the Nixa Fire District. The only thing they ask is that the area that they shoot the show is more than safe, more than adequate enough room, is maybe trim the yard, make sure it's nice and short where they're shooting the show. But the good news is that they bring it all in on a trailer these days, so nothing's getting set on the ground. And of course, if something were to go sideways or fall over, which it won't happen with professional shows, there is a big grove of trees that's protecting the entire Eagle Stadium. Now, the other cool thing about this, as we all know, is that this is not just for those who are in attendance at Eagle Stadium. Darlene Graham has a swimming pool in her backyard. It has a first-class view with a deck and indoor plumbing if you need it. So people like that will be having block parties and enjoying this as an entire community. I know, Mayor, you live fairly close, so it's an easy show for you to check out. And so many others, even outside, because we are kind of getting in the county, but so many comments last year how they enjoyed fellowshipping at their houses, able to celebrate in the way that they wanted to celebrate, and really appreciated the show. So this is much more than just what's happening there at Eagle Stadium. This is truly something that benefits our entire town. So we're excited to bring it back to you guys once again. I've got some, and I only printed 4 because you never know. You could have said no tonight, but I did hand some of those out. Matt would put one up for us, and then of course we'll have them up at the chamber. We'll have information there tomorrow at the Chamber of Commerce meeting as well for people to pass out the information. So we're looking forward to, once again, based on the strategic plan, it came up over and over and over, and we just jumped in there and said, hey, let's make it happen, and this will be the 2nd anniversary of bringing back Sky High. Last time we had it, Parks Department kind of helped do it. That was in 2015 is when Matt did that. I know, it's been crazy, huh? And we brought it back 21, 22. Any questions about the event?
What kind of food trucks do we have?
We have, well, we're allowing Nixa schools to run their concession stand. And so their concession stand will actually be the main thing for like hot dogs and whatever they serve in that, like on a Friday night football game. And then, of course, we're also bringing in mainly the other ones are dessert trucks. So we have one of them that does a lemonade slushy type deal. We have the no-bake cookie dough and, of course, the vintage scoop ice cream, and they were 2 out of 3 of those were at Sucker Day. I tried to get that big pineapple thing that we saw at Sucker Day where they filled up the pineapple with all the whipped cream that everybody was wanting that were $15 a pop, and they were selling them all day long like crazy, and they're booked up for another event that night. But maybe we'll get ahead of them earlier enough next year. Maybe we'll get them into our event. That would be a fun one to have there that night. Nixa schools last year also offered free watermelon or maybe by the slice. I can't remember. I don't know if they're going to do that again or not. But so mainly we let them handle the food concessions and we take care of the dessert. Any other questions?
You have a dunk tank this year?
We talked about it.
Okay, yeah.
Is there a dunk tank, Chris?
You know, I'm still contemplating the dunk tank. If I had a nonprofit organization to help me cover the cost of that, which is $185, and then work it, it's a fun thing to have. I'm a little tight on budget this year, as we all are. Last year, we just went ahead and purchased it to have it there. But we would we can get it there, covered on our insurance, but we're looking for a nonprofit group that would love to sit there and work it for 2 or 3 hours. It'll make $500 or $600, especially if we can get, the mayor in there and Belcher throwing at him, or maybe we get Ron Sanders in there, and I don't know, we get something like that going and raise money for a good cause, right? And bring a realistic, true, good conversations that we have here at City Council meeting, maybe make some money with it. That might be kind of fun. But reality of it is we can get local celebrities that would be, and when I say that, it could be teachers, coaches, anybody that would do it. That's a great opportunity for a nonprofit. I just can't go the extra $185 this year just to offer it for free for somebody, and we don't have the staff or the volunteer to work it ourselves.
Hey, I'm gonna steal your thunder now. That was a dunk tank. Are you bringing the wrestling ring and the wrestling?
Okay, we'll bring Sucker Mania back for you, buddy. I love it. Any other questions from council?
Any other questions?
All right, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate your support, and let's shoot some fireworks.
All right. We will leave open the public hearing. This will be the time. Could have said that, Jeff. Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Any further discussion?
No.
Motion to approve.
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Resolution number 2022-064, a resolution of the Council of the City of Nixa authorizing the city administrator to apply for and accept a 2022 Homeland Security Counterterrorism Equipment Grant in the amount of $5,000.
Well, Mayor and Council, this grant is through the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Because we have a Homeland Security counterterrorism officer that works with that group, we have the ability to do a grant award up to $5,000. One of the approved and recommended pieces of equipment is an unmanned aircraft system, UAV or drone. We have a drone program, we have a licensed pilot, and the intent or goal behind this is it's got a lot more capabilities than our current drone. We just have a small drone that our pilot actually used to learn, and this would have different capabilities for law enforcement to include thermal camera, loudspeaker, spotlight, and other upgrades to help us in the field with certain types of cases. So the goal is if we get the grant for $5,000, the drone we want has a total cost of $9,100, and we will budget for that in the 2023 police budget to cover the difference and purchase that in January of next year is the goal. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, Major. And we'll open up the public hearing. Close the public hearing. Any further discussion? Motion to approve.
I'll make the motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Resolution number 2022-065, a resolution of the Council of the City of Nixa authorizing the city administrator to apply for and accept a 2022 Community Pricing Development Accreditation Grant in the amount of $160,000.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is for an accreditation grant. This grant came up recently, June 6th. As you know, Chief Campbell's on vacation, but it closes on June 27th. Thursday, June 23rd, and I believe our next council meeting is the 27th. So it's a kind of a quick grant, but we would like to fund for that, and the goal is to get accreditation for our department. It just helps it to be more professional, brings in third parties to actually check our processes and our policies that we've worked so hard on, and kind of give us the thumbs up or the thumbs down and tell us what we need to do to improve.
Any questions? Thank you. And we'll open up the public hearing. Close the public hearing. Any further discussion? Is this plan to be budgeted for if you don't get the grant?
So it is on our plan, but I'm not sure, sorry.
So we need more mics. There you go.
So it has been planned, but we do not have it budgeted for this year, and I don't know if it's in, it's somewhere in the up to the 2025 budget on our goals.
Okay. Any further discussion? Motion to approve?
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all. And we'll move on to our discussion items. Flag.
I should have added two things on the last point about the seal. One is that the city branding is not officially adopted until the city administrator says so. So we're still working on those things and working with the police department to refine their police patch and things like that until the department heads are satisfied, the city administrator is satisfied, then we'll start to adopt those things and begin to implement them. Another thing I probably should have mentioned is the fact that if you look up, if you try to embark on the project like we've embarked on here, you'll find advice on on what to expect in the rebranding process. And one of the things they tell you to expect is that not everyone is going to like your new design. It's hard to get everybody to agree on things like of an artistic nature. Everybody has different opinions and we see things different ways. It's totally normal for some folks to say, well, I still like the old one. And I get it. And we've got to find kind of the thing that's the best thing that has the most consensus and go with that. And we're following the advice of an experienced brand expert and designer. And I feel confident that we're making the right decision. On the flag discussion, since we had not come to a consensus on a single flag design, I wanted to kind of step back and maybe allow us the opportunity to take a little bit more time on the flag and dive a little deeper. The flag of Nixa should be a welcoming symbol which represents our entire community. Anybody in the community may use the city's flag and fly it with pride. If you'll notice, there's an attachment on the city seal. We explained that the city seal belongs to the city council. It's really an official symbol for official city business that the city staff only can attach to documents and things like that on behalf of it's a way to say that this is official, right? But the flag really belongs to the community. And you'll see that with the American flag, right? The American flag, people wear that as a pair of swimming trunks, right? Anybody can take the American flag and wear that on their person and kind of take some ownership of it and fly it in their yard. And that's a symbol that you can kind of take ownership of. We as Americans, we all share ownership of that flag, right? And so the same would apply to the city flag. A city flag really belongs to the community and everybody can kind of have some ownership of it. And anybody could put that on their own material, or somebody could make a t-shirt with the Nixa city flag on it. That's okay and welcome, whereas we would not want the city seal or the official city logos put on things because it's a bit of uniform, right? It says I'm a city employee, right? I have some official capacity. So there's a little bit of a distinction there between the purpose of the seal and the purpose of the flag. I'm going to talk a little bit about vexillolography, which is the art of flag design. The North American Vexillological Association, they're called NAVA. They have a website, it's nava.org. And they encourage flag designers to follow basic principles and best practices as outlined in a little pamphlet that they call Good Flag, Bad Flag, How to Design a Great Flag. It's a quick reference book that was compiled by a gentleman named Ted Kay, and is based on what they refer to as expert wisdom of over 20 vexillographers. The 5 principles of good flag design are, according to NAVA, to keep it simple. The flag should be so simple that a child can draw it from memory. 2, use meaningful symbolism. The flag's images, colors, or patterns should relate to what it symbolizes. 3, use 2 or 3 basic colors. Limit the number of colors on the flag to 3 which contrast well and come from the standard color set. 4, no lettering or seals. Never use any writing of any kind, nor an organization's seal on a flag. And be distinctive or be related. So avoid duplicating other flags, but you can use similarities to show connections. So like one of the best practices would be if you're a city, have some kind of similarity, maybe it's in the colors or some kind of symbology within your flag that would be similar to your state flag, and the state flag would be similar somewhat to the national flag, things like that, right? You have some kind of intentional connections visually between your designs. So our previous flag designs are here. Our previous and current city flag designs violate the best practices of vexillology by including seals, text, and in the case of our current flag, too much fine detail. The city flag prior to 2018 was this one here with that ugly old seal that we had that the mayor was trying to describe there. We've got the sun that I like to say it looks like an octopus coming out of the ocean or something like that. We just the symbols used in that seal, I think there was a good effort made, but I think we can do better than that. And so, which is why in 2018, we had the contest to redesign the flag, and we had somebody that basically took the city logo and just applied it onto a flag, and that's what we adopted in 2018. So not a long history there. I wanted to touch on some examples of good flag design. So the vexillologers or something like that of NAVA did a survey in 2004 and voted on kind of what they felt were the flags that best followed the designs of the practices of best, I can't talk. The best practices of flag design. And so the Washington, D.C. flag was voted number 1. It's actually related to, I think, George Washington's family seal or something like that, or family crest, the 3 stars and 2 bars. Chicago has famously the two light blue bars and 4 red, 6 pointed stars. A lot of folks from Chicago will even tattoo this on their body. They like that flag design so much. It's just so distinctive. It's something that people want to wear on their own skin. The Denver flag was voted number 3. The city of Phoenix. St. Louis has a very distinctive flag, the Florida lists and the 3 rivers coming together. Wichita, Kansas has a distinctive flag. Portland, Oregon. Indianapolis, New Orleans, Mesa, Arizona, Salt Lake City, Provo, Utah. So here in the last few slides, I kind of got ahead of myself there. Mesa, Arizona was on that list in 2004 of having one of the worst flag designs, so they really quickly kind of responded to that and tried to come up with a better design. And this one since ranks much higher on that list. And so they've had this one since 2005. Salt Lake City also had a low-ranking flag design. They have since redesigned theirs in 2006. They've had this. Since 2015, this has been Provo, Utah's flag. Since 2016, this has been Columbia, Missouri's. Tulsa, Oklahoma has this one since 2018. Sioux Falls has this one since 2018. Springfield, Missouri, since this very year, Springfield adopted a flag that follows vexillology. Bad examples. Oklahoma City. Vexillologists are advocating for the change of this flag. For one thing, this violates one of the rules I told you about last time, where it's on a white background, so when there's no wind in it, it looks like the city of Oklahoma City has surrendered. And so folks are wanting to try to change that flag design. Boston, the city of Boston, there are folks that are advocating to update this flag design because it has a city seal on it. Fort Worth violates the rules because it's got the words Fort Worth on it. And if you took those words off, you'd have the logo or the mascot of the University of Texas, a university which is not located in Fort Worth, but in Austin, Texas. Detroit, there's an effort to replace Detroit's current flag, which is considered too busy and violates several of the rules, to adopt the one on the lower right there, which has been called by folks, vexillologists, as the Detroit Rise flag. There's a movement to adopt that. There are even folks agitating to update this flag out of Kansas City because it's got words on it. And if you removed the logo and the words, it'd be the flag of the country of France. So they want to flip the red and the blue so it's not the same as France, and they want to take the words off so it's just that city fountain kind of logo. So all of that to kind of show you some examples of good flag designs and give you some ideas and some inspiration here. What should Nixa's new flag look like? I recommend we follow the best practices of good flag design. I've read Good Flag, Bad Flag. I attached it. It's like an 8-page little pamphlet. It's a very quick read. I attached it to the memo for this item. So it's on the website. You guys can look through it yourselves. It's available for free at nava.org. And I've followed its principles in working with our graphic designer to propose option A, but it is possible to conceive of other designs which would also follow this principle. So if you don't like my design, that does not hurt my feelings, and I'm perfectly willing for us to come and even go back to the public if you want other folks to submit designs. The other designs that council had asked for me to bring to show you would not follow those best practices. And the only thing I would caution you on is I would rather we get the flag right the first time than have those flag enthusiasts come back and kind of force us to go back and redesign yet again in the near future if we didn't kind of follow the rules and best practices. So this is the option A that I'm proposing. And this is recommended by me. My name's on it. Based on the best practices of vexillology. And there's a little description there of the width of the bars, the colors are the same colors from the seal. The dark blue represents the rivers, the James and the Finley rivers that flow on either side of our city, and our new city logo, a symbol, the 4 converging arrows all pointing to that X that marks the spot, right? This design is in red, white, and blue, which harkens to the colors of our national flag. Red and blue also have unique meaning for Nixa. The Nixa red reminds the viewer of red azaleas, our official city flower, and represents our passionate commitment to an exceptional quality of life and public service. Innovation blue represents strength, peace, responsibility, wisdom, truth, and trustworthiness. Those are things that we definitely want to be sending as a message as a municipal government. The 2 parallel bars in innovation blue represent the James and Finley, as I said. The four converging arrows in Nixa red represent the place which attracts people from all around to make their home. The X in the negative space between those converging arrows marks the spot where you may find that which you treasure most. Historically, the X in the name of our city has symbolized a crossroads. It has also come to signify a multiplier of opportunity. The people of Nixa are the intangible X factor of our community. They are our town's greatest asset. Our potential for forward progress comes from their vision and determination. The white background represents the opportunity anyone has in Nixa to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. It also represents their opportunity to shape our community's future. Flag option B, I would say the colors and things like that kind of would be the same. We just would be violating kind of the rules of not putting literally a logo with words on a flag design, but that's what that would look like. If we opted to do the seal, that's what that would look like. Again, here's another one. We're getting the designs that the council asked to see last time. So you asked to see this and this, both with the symbol in white and red, or D and E. You guys said you would like to see this as well, just the blue with the Nixa, Missouri, and the silhouette, the city skyline silhouette. And then this is one our graphic designer kind of came up with, which is just the city silhouette on the foreground as well as another option. But that's not all the things you could come up with, right? We could come up with more designs. And so I think that there's an opportunity here for, if you wanted to open this up and kind of have the community have some ownership over the flag design, I think it's perfectly acceptable if you want to invite designers. One of the pieces of advice out of that Good Flag, Bad Flag booklet says, do not let a committee design a flag, because people, they have competing visions, and when you get in a discussion, then you end up compromising too much on the design. So what they recommend is allow and empower individuals to make designs, and then have the committee choose from among those designs and select a winner, right? And so I think that that's good advice. I would advise you to do that. Certainly the designs that I've presented to you all come from myself and the graphic design consultant I've been working with. But it would not offend me at all if you decided you wanted to seek other design proposals and then select a winner from among those. Questions, thoughts, direction from staff? We would like to eventually get to a point where you tell me which flag design you would like to adopt, and then we will draft a resolution and bring you back a single flag design for adoption by resolution.
Yeah, I will say I really liked flag G, if you can go back to that one. I thought that was pretty good. But I'd also be totally fine, because we did it with the old seal going out to the public, and maybe keeping this as an option out of all of those, but still allow a lot of public input into what they want to see flying in front of City Hall or outside their home if they want to. Maybe put it up in the garage. But that one out of all of them, I think, is my favorite. But yeah.
You know, the good news is we don't have much to lose here, because we have a flag design in place that flies nowhere else except for here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know of anybody else in town that has flies one outside their home or anything like that. There's not a lot of pride in our current flag, and I think that we can only go up from here. So there's an opportunity for us if, things can't get worse. If we have a flag design that continues to only fly at City Hall, that's the status quo. Nothing's gotten worse. But if we get a design that we really like and the community has some buy-in on, and it starts to fly with pride around our town, then that's great, right? That's a benefit and that's an improvement. So, yeah.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, Drew. All right, that is the end of our agenda for this evening. Anything else from staff?
Well, I need direction.
Oh, you need direction. I think we all like the idea of having a group and having submissions of people, I think. Yeah, we like that idea.
You like the idea?
Yeah.
So you want me to invite the community for a period of time to submit design ideas and then bring all the submissions that we received by that deadline to you at a future council meeting for you to review and select?
Maybe some subcommittee, you might have a committee for it or something. We can talk about it. We'll figure, but yeah, something along those lines is what we want.
Okay, we'll plan to have another conversation about that.
Yeah,
then.
we'll have another conversation. All right, anything else from staff?
Just want to remind council that we'll be closed on Monday for observance of Juneteenth.
Okay. All right. Anything else from council? I did have one item. It is fun time for we're going to have a separate committee for that, so, and it will also be in an ordinance or updated thing that has a hearing. Or you can speak about it at the beginning of next meeting if you want to. What is it?
I moved it.
Oh, that wasn't what I was wondering. The liaison, it's time for another liaison presentation. So I think Darlene, Amy, and Jared have done one recently. That's what I had in my list. So I don't know if anybody else had a desire to do one. Sometime coming up. What are you on, Sean? You're on,
I have finance and human resources.
well, that's exciting. What do you have?
I'm trying to remember what we did,
I have planning development.
because I think I did planning development last time for mine. I'm not sure how long ago that was.
Yeah.
If we can get a list of maybe of what's been done, and then, so if administration's not been done in a while, I'd be happy to do it, but that way we can keep a rotation of,
So it's always at the bottom of your agenda who your liaison
yeah.
department is, but I can send out an actual email
Send out
this
an email
week
with the list of
that.
who's done the liaisons.
Oh, who's
Yeah,
done
yeah.
the
Who's done
reports?
the, who's
Oh,
done
yeah,
the
I can get that.
I had the
done.
last three, but that was all I had in my notes.
I misunderstood your question. I thought you were asking.
Yeah,
what
but
group
since
you
we
have,
change
but
them, I mean, I'd be
it
happy to
depends
do mine,
I
but
can
since we
send
change
you the
them.
ones that have been done in the last couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, like the last
That way
5 or
we can
6,
just
yeah.
find a rotation out of it.
All right. Anything else? Take a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.